Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, subscribe. You know you want to. Today I am going to tell you the time I pretended to be an alien from outer space. Now, kids will be kids. There's always going to be, well, there was in my day. You went outside and you played pretend a lot. It was cheaper than all of these iPhones and iPads and computer games and all that stuff. But I have always been the creative type, and I was the new kid in school again, and I was really having a rough time. I had come from Canton down to Greensboro, Canton, Ohio, down to Greensboro, North Carolina, and it was a north and south thing. A lot of them didn't really include me. They didn't want to take me in. I was the new kid. I think I started in May, which is a terrible time to switch schools because all the cliques are formed, and yeah, you get introduced to the class and they're like, hi, how you doing? And then go back to their cliques. The next year, you are still relatively new, but you're not introduced because you were there last year. And you just kind of slip through the cracks. And I'm a person who, I'm on the spectrum, which means I have autism, high functioning autism, but autism nonetheless. And that lends itself to be shy, and you can't function at a normal kid's pace. And so when you slip through the cracks, you tend to stay there. And marching band was my thing. I played the flute, the piccolo, and the trumpet. And I started out with the trumpet. And I taught myself flute because that's what I really wanted to play in the first place. And then, of course, when you move to marching band, you switch flutes to piccolos, or at least you did in my high school, because flutes, you have to have a tremendous amount of them to even be heard slightly on the field. So you switch to piccolos because of the higher pitch, and you can hear them. But I didn't have a piccolo because it was lent to me by the school at my previous school. I moved in 9th grade. I had my flute, but I was always taught you don't march flutes. I know a lot of schools do, but I grew up with Canton South marching band, and we didn't march flutes. So I thought, well, I don't have a piccolo to march. I'll just go in as a trumpet player. And stupid me realized that trumpets and braces don't really mix well. And I hadn't played trumpet for 3 years. It's the instrument I started on. And so I went in there with a trumpet, and actually I had a cornet, which is a little smaller than a trumpet, but it's the same sound and fingerings and all that business. I got razzed up and down for having a smaller trumpet. And I couldn't play well enough because of my braces. So I was like second to last chair. And I really think the only reason he didn't put me last chair is because I was a year ahead of the guy that I did sit in front of. Even though he was better, I will readily admit that. And I mean, it just, the marching style was different. We didn't high step. That was, Canton South is a militarized type march. High stepping, straight lines, we learned different shows every week, and it was very intense. And when you were in the band there, you were in the band. And at Northwest in North Carolina, it was the ones that, they draw things, squirrely things, and they don't march, they walk. And it was just completely backwards of what I was taught originally. And so, and of course, I'm from the North, and in the South, they don't tend to like you if you're from the North and you've moved there. Visitors, that's great. They will be really polite and, take your money and make sure you go home nice. But if you come from the North and you have decided to stay there, or your parents in this case, they tease you endlessly. The slang is different. The way you pronounce things is different. And there's just a lot to get used to, on top of trying to integrate yourself into a new school system. And I wasn't taking it well. So I watched V growing up. The people that came to Earth, and they were actually lizard people, but they wore a mask to fit in. And I took that because I was a huge fan of the show. And I created my own alphabet based off of the TV show. I had a costume that I even made when I was younger. I was Diana, the leader of the lizards, and I put together the costume from Goodwill clothes and black electrical tape and a squirt gun and that kind of thing. It was pretty cool. I was proud of my costume. But but I decided, you know what? I'm gonna have a little fun. It's kind of like a mental escape for me. I always liked acting. And so I had my alphabet that I had learned. I wrote my whole school schedule out in this alphabet. I wrote notes in this alphabet. And I walked into band Monday morning and pretended not to know anyone. And it it was interesting. they were like, "What's wrong with you?" I was like, "Nothing. I'm perfectly fine." And you know, the guy that was behind me said, "We rolled a house this weekend," talking about toilet paper. And, you know, it was a popular pastime prank. I don't know if they still do it or not, but. And I looked at him deadpan. I said, "You rolled a house? How did you do that? Houses are pretty big, right? How did you roll that?" And I was very cautious not to use contractions, kind of like the data. Instead of didn't, I would say did not, and everything along those lines. And I came up with a star system. I said that I was from Alpha Centauri, which is an actual star system. It is the closest star system to our own. And I think I did this for, gosh, probably a month or so. And I never admitted that I did this. My story was that I had a star twin that was in one of the planets in Alpha Centauri, Terra, which, you know, is another word for Earth. But so I had this twin that they split, and I had this elaborate story about how they didn't want twins in that country because you could easily deceive and say you were somewhere and when you were actually somewhere else, so they would always kill the twin. But since I was a princess, they shot me off to Earth to be raised as a human. And but I turned 16, so they decided to have us meet and switch places for a month, just to see, you know, how the other one lived and get to know our actual family and the adoptive family. And I even made a tape with both of us on it. And I actually just recorded myself, and then I had wrote a script and then recorded on a separate tape myself but answering, and then recorded both of those playing at the same time. So it came across as, you know, two people conversing, but they were both me. And there were times where they overlapped. So you couldn't say, well, you were just saying, "Hi, how you doing?" "Yeah, I'm fine, thanks." And I had a slight British accent for Cassie. That was her name, Cassiopeia. And it was pretty elaborate for a teenager, I think. I even went as far as to bury a necklace. It was a strange, kind of like a three-pronged design with a diamond right there. I'm sure it wasn't a diamond really, but it was different. It was astrological in a weird sense. So I buried it by the tree where I knew it was. Nobody was going to mess with it. And while the guy in the last chair was over at my house, because we had kind of gotten to be friends at that point. And this was after I came back. He was over, and I pretended to find a note, and I'm like, oh, what's this? And I opened it, and it was in the alien language, and I read it, and I was like, huh, no. And he's like, what? And he says, well, it says something was left for me, but it's buried. And I went out and, followed the directions, but of course he couldn't read them because they were in my alien language. And I dug under this tree, and there was this necklace. I was like, oh, that's so sweet. And I was going on and on. And Frankie's like, you did that, didn't you? And I'm like, no, I just found the note. You were with me. He's like, I know you wrote it. I know that's not true. No, you're crazy. And I was like, no, it really happened. And, and I mean, this is actually the first time I have actually come clean about what I did. And that was, oh my gosh, that was like 35 years ago. And I don't know if he will watch my YouTube or not. He's on my Facebook. But I don't know if he'll watch this. I don't know if he watches YouTube. But yeah, I had a little fun, and it was a little escape. And I just let a couple people do that. It was Frankie and Chris. They were on either side of me, and they were always picking on me. So I was like, you know what, I'm going to do something to get them back. And, but it worked. Now, it worked so well that I was dating this guy that our parents introduced us to. And he was just not my type. He was nice, but he just wasn't my type. So I did the story again to him. And he pretended he believed me. I don't think he did, but while I was in Denmark being a foreign exchange student, he told my parents, he's like, I really think she's got problems. She thinks she's an alien from another planet. And I got home and they're like, you want to tell us about Cassiopeia? And I'm like, what? Yeah, he was telling us about that. And I was like, oh man, I was just pulling his leg. I don't believe I'm from another planet. That's crazy. And I brushed it off, but I was like, yeah, it's probably best I leave that alone. But of course, nowadays, I could totally get away with it. I mean, people are saying they're cats and demanding litter boxes in the bathrooms. So I can say I'm an alien. I'm not. But I could say it. I could identify as an alien from the planet Terra in Alpha Centauri. So let me know. Be honest. Are there any long-standing pranks that you've played on somebody like that? I mean, come on. I can't be the only one that's that creative. Let me know. I want to know. So, anyways, don't forget to subscribe to my channel. I always forget to say that, but subscribe. You will not be sorry. I have a lot of outlandish, crazy adventures, experiences, whatever. And I don't have any friends. So I share them with you. And there are more where that came from. All true, by the way. I don't make anything up. Unless I'm telling you I made it up, and in that case. But thank you for listening. If you are creative and, you know, can do something like that or pulled it off, I really want to know, because that's just awesome. You're awesome. All right. See you later. Bye.